Cal Crutchlow is back on a MotoGP grid. He has reached 4 decades of life, yet he is stepping back into the most violent arena in sports. 5 seasons have vanished since he was a permanent fixture in the Premier class. Now he is lining up for the very same crew that helped him define his career. This news is confirmed, official, and blasted across every headline as of Thursday, May 28, 2026. Castrol LCR Honda has signed Crutchlow to step in for Johann Zarco at the Brembo Grand Prix of Italy at Mugello. Reaction across the paddock was immediate, while the fans who witnessed his celebrated run between 2015 and 2020 are rightfully excited. This is a true homecoming instead of a simple substitution. To understand why this happened, we must look at the chaos that sent Zarco to the operating table. High-speed racing is a game of millimeters, and at the Catalan Grand Prix in Barcelona, Zarco ran out of room. At turn 1, a multi-pilot pile-up unfolded, dragging Francesco Bagnaglia's Ducati and Luca Marini into the gravel along with him. Surgery was the only path forward for a knee that could no longer support the forces of a Premier-class start. Not only is Mugello erased from his immediate future, but the Suzuka 8 Hours on July 5th is also off the table. Honda factory World SBK star Somkiat Chantra is already confirmed to cover that endurance gap. One turn, one mistake from another racer, and an entire professional calendar was torn to shreds. LCR needed a replacement immediately. One might assume a global powerhouse like Honda simply opens a drawer and pulls out a ready-made solution. But every realistic option they had collapsed before a contract could even be drafted. Aleix Espargaro, the primary test pilot for HRC, remains sidelined following a crash at Sepang only weeks ago. He was out of the running before the phone even rang. As for Takaaki Nakagami, HRC management chose to pass over him for this specific race to protect him from injury. This choice reveals exactly how much pressure the Japanese manufacturer is feeling right now. Nakagami is not simply resting in a luxury trailer, as HRC has him anchored to the 850cc development cycle, a project so critical it essentially dictates the next decade of their existence. These upcoming technical regulations represent a total reset of the competitive order. If Honda misses the mark here, they are not just losing races, they are losing their relevance in the sport. Management viewed the risk of a Mugello substitute appearance as an unacceptable gamble for their lead developer. There was no reason to risk the architect of their future on a high-speed circuit that can easily cause severe injuries. Because of this, they left only one name on the list, a single veteran to call. Cal Crutchlow was that veteran. Honda and LCR did not hand him the keys based on nostalgia. On Wednesday, May 27th, just 24 hours before the news broke, Crutchlow was deep into a private session at Misano. This confidential evaluation was the only goal. Engineers needed to see if a racer who has not competed since the 2023 Japanese Grand Prix still possessed the lightning reflexes required to handle a modern RC213V. Passing that test was the only way this deal moved forward. Word dropped the next morning, and social media platforms erupted in response. This verification proves several things about the physical evolution of these bikes since he left, especially regarding the intense G-forces. Veterans do not just jump onto a 300-horsepower prototype and hope for the best. Aero packages have transformed these machines into ground-effect vehicles that require a completely different physical language to turn. You do not just lean anymore, you wrestle against downforce that wants to crush the suspension into the asphalt. For a racer of his age to adapt to that over an ongoing testing process is an impressive achievement. It shows his competitive fire is still roaring, allowing him to clear the bar on pure merit. Clearing that hurdle brings a much larger question into focus. To understand this, we must examine the man actually walking back into the Mugello garage. Recognizing his face is one thing, but understanding his history with this specific outfit reveals the gravity of this reunion. 6 seasons were spent in these colors. Between 2015 and 2020, he did not just compete, he redefined what an independent team could achieve on a Honda chassis. He secured 12 podiums and 3 victories during that period. Brno 2016 stands alone as the crown jewel. This achievement marked a historic moment, as the first time LCR had ever stood on the top step of a MotoGP podium in their entire history. Nobody had ever taken them to that height before. Lucio Cecchinello, the founder of LCR, was very specific with his language when the deal was signed, stating that they are fortunate to be able to count on their former driver Cal Crutchlow, with whom they shared some great moments. This phrasing shows that Cecchinello is not describing a temporary body filling a gap. Phrasing it as someone he can count on speaks to years of shared mechanical struggles and hard-won successes. This is a team boss calling a man he trusts to provide honest feedback, not just a pilot to fill a grid slot. It is a partnership rebuilt on respect. Crutchlow's own comments were devoid of ego. His response was honest, blunt, and focused, noting that when he received the call to replace Zarco, he felt privileged and honored, and he had to give it a try. He acknowledged it will be an intense weekend, but he is ready to give his best. He offered no wild predictions of victory and no performative bravado about finding his 2016 rhythm quickly. Instead, he spoke as an athlete who answered the call because he knew he still had something to offer. This kind of rare transparency is almost non-existent at the top of this sport, which is precisely why LCR wanted him back. The challenge ahead is immense, as Mugello does not forgive a lack of preparation. This high-speed circuit punishes hesitation with total ruthlessness. It sits at altitude, meaning engines breathe differently and riders fatigue faster. The high-speed changes of direction in the Casanova and Savelli sections require core strength that most humans cannot easily manage. G-forces here do not just tire you out, they try to throw you off the machine. Crutchlow is jumping into this situation with 0 competitive mileage in years. Practice, qualifying, and the race are his only chances to find his pace. Whether he can score points or hold his own against younger athletes who have spent the entire year perfecting their craft remains the central question. This uncertainty defines the return. What we do know is that his deep history with LCR eliminates the learning curve that would usually destroy a returning veteran. Trust does not have to be built from scratch. He knows the mechanics, he knows the communication style, and he knows the bike's characteristics. That foundation is the only reason this comeback has a chance. HRC's current hierarchy is facing a difficult situation. When a factory has to pull a retired star back into the fold for one of the most prestigious races on Earth, it highlights a significant lack of depth. He earned this seat through performance, but his presence also marks a clear limit for the brand. HRC is focusing completely on the 850cc future because their present is in a state of emergency. This weekend, their present relies on a man who was supposed to be done with the grind. The world will be watching to see if the gamble pays off. For longtime followers of the sport, seeing the number 35 back in that specific garage is highly unusual. Crutchlow, in the team's colors, a decade after he began making history with them, creates an unexpected narrative arc. A crash in Barcelona and a phone call in the middle of the night have brought us here. Closing a circle of this magnitude is rare, and it usually only happens when the stakes are incredibly high. Mugello is this weekend, and Cal is on the grid. The paddock is watching to see if he can finish in the points, crack the top 10, or deliver a surprising result on Sunday. Subscribers will receive the full Italian Grand Prix breakdown the moment the checkered flag falls. The race was already highly anticipated, and this edition introduces an entirely unforeseen storyline.